You always have to wait a second to see if you're actually live or not. I find it's funny. It wouldn't be a stream without a cup of coffee and then a last minute spill right before it kicks off. We'll wait about a few minutes, let some people get into the room, and then get the ball rolling. It's always good to have a few people waiting on standby to add to the conversation. Can't really beat it. Rather than me just chatting to myself. Okay, so the format for those who are new, put the phone on flight mode. The format for those who are new is 1 p.m. every Sunday. We try and get on, do these conversations, working off the feedback that you guys give me in the videos. And I kind of base a more loose conversation here, answering your questions. I do a little roundup of what's going on with the channel, discuss a topic for 10, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how much is going on in it. And then I open the discussion up completely to anything again at the end, answer questions. And that's kind of the format and how things go. It's going so well so far. Last week was marking 4 live streams, nearly a month of live streaming. It was just a Q&A. So it was a really, really open discussion. Took a minute to get it rolling, but I was really happy because by the end, it was just loads of questions, loads of back and forth. And that's kind of what this is all about. The videos are highly edited, and I really like making those. There's challenges to them, but what makes these great is how loose they are, and it's definitely creating a more of a community vibe in the channel. So love this mug. So the aim of this is to create engagement. So I always ask questions. Um, Before we actually get into the topic of the week, I suppose I'll ask everyone: did they enjoy my last video? Uh, okay. To enjoy the fact that did you know about the then we'll get into that as the video goes on or the stream goes on. Everyone who's here, welcome. Thanks for viewing. Channel updates. The McClory video came out this week, and that's why I'm asking the poll. Did you enjoy or did you know about this circus? I thought this was a crazy discovery, but I'll get way into this during the stream. Um, there is something funny about videos like this. They never really perform as well as you want them to, although we put a lot of work into them. But if you talk about Henry Cavill or something very trendy, you do well. Just another shout out to Enzo. I always collaborate with Enzo when it comes to the videos, especially travel videos. His music always ends up in there somewhere. Check out Enzo. And as the first ever super liker to the channel or super chatter, he's well deserving of the shout out. So there's Enzo there. He can confirm. Is that you can confirm you found out at the circus, or be interesting to know. Um just Oh yeah, he's confirmed about how the trendy stuff does well. Yeah, it's just it's not surprising, but it's disappointing. And then what you kind of find is the videos that you might have put a lot of work in maybe do better long term than the other ones. To speak now about that, I've been working on maybe I should commission Enzo to work on something first. We'll talk about that later, Enzo. I've been working on the very last video of the US road trip. Um, it's a quick one relative to the rest of them. It's been a struggle to put together. There's a lot of rushes and footage there, but creating that narrative around it has been tough. But I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys. The travel videos are good, and there's more to come. It's definitely more the passion side of this channel because they don't do that well, really. But I think the viewers who are consistent to this channel enjoy them. So there's a lot more of those to come. But either this week coming or in 2 weeks' time, the last leg of that road trip will be shared. Um, yeah, those ones are well, this one in particular is sort of bittersweet because it was quite a journey. And I'm looking forward to showing you what I did and what happened. But uh yeah, it'd be just good to share, and it'd be good to kind of create the conversations in the chat and in the videos as well. And I might do a live stream as well, just rounding up that whole trip and taking any sort of questions you guys may have. I suppose the real question is for everyone in the chat here, can you guess the final location? um yeah, it'd be interesting. I will not confirm or deny. I just interested to hear what you guys think. Finally, in terms of the channel updates, next week will be a Brosnan discussion. Um, this will be funny because I think there'll be some controversial positions and then some not so controversial ones. But Brosnan was very down during the early Craig era, but it feels like he's coming back and people are really starting to appreciate him again. He was probably the best part of that Black Adam film. So I just want to look over his era as Bond, talk about those four movies, discuss what were the goods, what were the bads, and have they aged well or have they aged badly? That's why I want to kind of chat about Brosnan and really get the feeling of where my viewers sit on the whole Brosnan era too. So that's next week. We got the US round trip or the US trip roundup discussion, the fight video as well for the guys out there, and the Brosnan one, all coming soon. Now, this week's topic. This week I released my Kevin McClory video. I thought it was funny. There was like a lot of research that went into this one. I had to go down a few rabbit holes, really try and color in and figure out what was going on there at the time, how he came to live there. I'll get it more into this in a second. I just wanted to discuss it further. If you guys have seen this McClory video, I put as the short as the trailer to this live stream. I thought you'd be all interested. Um, like my videos are a very quick style, and I like to edit them quickly and kind of run through the narrative, make them exciting where I can. But the whole point of these live streams is to open up the conversation, freer, and discuss back and forth. So if you have any questions on this whole Kevin McClory thing, fire them in. For those who are relatively new to the Bond thing, Kevin McClory was in a legal suit with Ian Fleming because of the rights of Thunderball, the novel. In the lawsuit, McClory got the rights to make Thunderball for films. And this led to in Eon Productions them going, okay, we'll bring McClory in to produce Thunderball. That will keep him from making a rival film anytime soon. The court then eventually decided that not only did he have the right to make Thunderball, but he could continue to remake it. So this down the line led to McClory producing Never Say Never Again, the film which Sean Connery came back as James Bond in 1983. In terms of how Eon, the official series, describes Kevin McClory, he's very much their villain. You can imagine why. So the Kevin McClory thing is weird because in terms of how Eon describes the relationship, it's like Kevin McClory showed up in 1965, and they very much bury that sometimes as well. They don't like to mention that to produce Thunderball. He disappears and then just comes back in 1983 with Never Say Never Again, and they just really want to downplay what might have happened between 65 and 1983. And this circus is something that's very interesting that's happened in between. Just to kind of then take a step back, talking about the video which I released. It's only 5 minutes long. Um, a lot of work and research goes into these videos, and you find that they just don't do that well. It's hilarious. Hopefully, long term, people will discover it and be like, "Wow, that circus is weird." Um, but I hope everyone who is like a consistent viewer of the channel really enjoyed it. I thought there was really interesting bullet points and information in there, especially the circus. Throw in your comments and thoughts on that circus in the chat. So yeah, it's just funny how your favorites never work out like that. So yeah, I think that is one of the best videos I've made in a long while. Hopefully, you guys agree, or you just be like, "Shut up and keep talking in the car about Richard Madden or Henry Cavill being Bond." Enzo says, "By the way, I'm back to Bond business." Haha. Oh, looking for inspiration to compose today could be interesting for your next videos. Hey, yeah, Enzo, we need to talk about that. I'd say I need a lot more than just inspiration to get me through this edit of the last leg of the US trip. As I said in the video, the inciting incident of me making that Kevin McClory video was watching Never Say Never, or watching Everything or Nothing, the Bond series documentary. They briefly discuss Kevin McClory and what happened there. And in the shot, they have an archival footage of black and white and him crossing this old bridge that actually the bridge goes over the River Liffey, which goes through the estate. And I was like, that looks so familiar. That always stuck with me, that bridge. And it turns out that that bridge is on the K Club. And then those who don't know, the K Club is where the 2006 Ryder Cup took place in Ireland. Yeah, there's so much to that. I can stop and discuss. Throw it in the chat if you're interested. But long story short, Kevin McClory owned Straffan House, which is now the K Club, and he lived there. So I was like, I recognized this. I recognized the K Club. I went down this hall and I was like, how did Kevin McClory live there? What was happening there? Blah, blah, blah. And he, McClory, in this archival footage, which is weird because I actually couldn't find the archival footage anywhere but on Everything or Nothing. So yeah, they something weird going on there. Um, I had to go down this rabbit hole and look into Kevin McClory and what was going on. I was reading a lot about Straffan House, the K Club, and I saw this circus took place. And this circus is wild. Like I was just not believing that it really existed. So I looked into the circus, and like you got Burgess Meredith, who's Rocky in Rocky, he's the trainer. Um, you got Eric Clapton, John Huston, like, and Sean Connery playing the clown. And I was like, what is going on here? And this is all on Kevin McClory's estate, Straffan House, which became the K Club. So my new perspective on Connery coming back and Never Say Never really started to shift and change when I saw this. I was like, what's going on here? Like, went down the rabbit hole a bit more. I was looking into different things. Houston in the 1950s worked a lot with McClory. McClory was an assistant, then an assistant director on set. He did a lot of productions. So McClory, after the Second World War, became quite like reasonably successful in the film industry in the UK, building these relationships. And then that led him into meeting Fleming and Thunderball happening in that lawsuit. Um, However, the Eon commentary on this is that Connery, as a sort of bit of vengeance on Cubby Broccoli and the producers and the family at Eon, really signed on to do Never Say Never Again. And a mix of like, and then the speculation outside of just that is like, oh, Connery might have been stuck for cash and wanted a big payday. All of which could be factors in the fact that in the way Connery came back to Never Say Never. But what I think is really interesting with this circus, which I discussed briefly in the video, and please throw in your comments and let me know what you think about this. If you guys disagree or agree with me, please say so. I think Kevin McClory worked with Connery in Thunderball and may have forged a relationship with him and then continued to build upon that after the fact. You see these pictures of Connery in Ireland the more you research it, and Kevin McClory is in some of the pictures too. And I think what could really have happened here is that Kevin McClory and Connery remain friends or colleagues well after 1965 Thunderball. McClory had this great relationship with John Huston, it seems, from working on Moby Dick and Around the World in 80 Days. And he could well have put them in touch with each other, which led to Connery being in The Man Who Would Be King, that Michael Caine, John Huston film. And so it could be the case that McClory's relationship with Huston and Connery put them together. You know, that is not surprising to me. And there's quite a bit of speculation here, I have to say. So that staying in touch, putting Connery in touch with Houston, maybe Connery's career, like if you look back, Connery's career had its ups and downs between uh, that period of Diamonds Are Forever and Never Say Never and Raiders or The Last Crusade. Connery was sort of on the rocks. I think that one, this circus shows that Connery had a great enough relationship with McClory to sign up to a charity event where he makes a fool of himself, like dressing as a clown, but also that there was this sort of thing that they're all working together, and whether like it's just hard to say, but what's going on clearly, I think, is that they're all in touch, working with each other. And I don't think if the Broccoli's asked him to dress up as a clown, Sean Connery would have done it. But he did it for Kevin McClory. It just says something in itself. Obviously, the circus is crazy. And when it's billed as the circus, really, with Eric Clapton in it. People really have taken to that side of things. I I just think this Sean Connery being in it has shifted the narrative completely for me in my head. Because what you're starting to see here is not only does Connery maybe want the cash when it comes to 1983 and Never Say Never and signing on to that, not only would he might want to upset the Broccolis a little bit, but also he might like McClory. He gets on well with him, knows him, maybe feels that he owes him for the John Huston thing. You don't know. And so what I'm sort of thinking here is, okay, there's more to just cash and vengeance here, and possibly this whole McClory relationship was possibly this whole relationship was well cultivated by Kevin McClory. Connery had a quote which, when I was looking this up, really stuck with me. He said, "Don't underestimate Kevin McClory." And yeah, that seems about right here. Like, if you look through McClory's life and career, he's achieved a lot, and sort of, I don't think he was dogged when it came to Never Say Never, and it was going to get made no matter what. It's weird when you go down this route, and actually, something I will observe that's very, very, very funny is McClory is sympathetically looked upon by the Irish media. He It's so funny because he's Irish. The Irish media completely takes his side on this Ian Fleming thing. And then because we're Bond fans, we take Fleming's side. So, yeah, I think it's hilarious that Kevin McClory, when you read the Irish media things, they're like, "Oh yeah, he got robbed by Ian Fleming," and Ian, and they very much go for the Kevin McClory is responsible for the creation of James Bond. But yeah, we kind of take it the other side that McClory was partially involved in Thunderball and then tried to completely overstake his claim on Bond. I will just like going down the route of his early life. We probably like little weird things that you wouldn't know. He's a distant relative. Well, not that distant actually, but he's a relative of the Bronte family, Emily Bronte. They changed their names to Bronte. So there's that. Like in the Second World War, McClory was in the Merchant Navy, and the boats were attacked by U-boats. And on one occasion, people were dying. He managed to escape on a life raft, and then he served the rest of the Second World War in the British Navy. Things like that. So after that, McClory ends up going in to the film industry in the 1950s and making quite a successful career of himself. And then this leads into him being introduced to Fleming. They work on the script for Thunderball, which never goes anywhere. Or they work on a script which becomes the novel Thunderball. Fleming takes some of those ideas, and that's what leads into the whole saga. Like, McClory's life is not straightforward, and clearly it shows that when he wants something, he would do whatever it took to get it. And Never Say Never, the film, is a testament to that. Um, us Bond fans, and I can assume people watching this video are going to side with the Fleming Eon side of things, but when I kept researching this, it is very interesting that I kept running into the perspective and siding with McClory. It was interesting just to get a different view on things. He did live in a stately manner in Ireland, though, so I don't think he was that oppressed. Uh, like, that's really the background to this whole Kevin McClory saga, and I hope you enjoyed the video that I released this week. It led into Bond and Never Say Never. McClory actually didn't produce Never Say Never in the end. He was an executive producer, which kind of would suggest to me that the hardcore producing elements of managing, coordinating were outsourced, and McClory got a nice paycheck for giving them the rights to make this movie. And what was the name? There was an American guy that effectively produced Never Say Never in the end, and Connery was famous in saying that it was a Mickey Mouse production. He was very pissed off. But yeah, I Never Say Never is just this crazy thing that happened. And then after Never Say Never, McClory wouldn't give up, and he was trying to make it again. There's that interview where he was on, what show was it? It could well have been an Irish show, but he was saying that he was going to make a film called Spectre. which obviously got used in the end by Eon, and then Warhead 2000 as well. Obviously, there's the funny one, like these are all rumors, but there was a thing where you can only assume this was the late 90s, 2000s, that he wanted to make his James Bond movie with Connery as the villain and Liam Neeson as James Bond. Tell me, what do you think? Liam Neeson as Bond in the McClory film, that would be really interesting. I'm going to end the poll here. Did you know? So, yeah, 66% knew about the McClory Circus. That's gas. So, okay, let's start the poll here. Liam Neeson Bond. For those who want to know, Irish people really like Liam Neeson. Apparently, he's a very nice guy. Um, yeah, so Kevin McClory wanted that Liam Neeson idea. It was probably off the back of Schindler's List and stuff with the Oscar nominations. But yeah, people love Liam Neeson in Ireland, so that could have went down well here. Another Irish Bond. He just kept trying though, again and again. And there's this weird thing in me as a Bond fan where it's you want to see the Bond Eon series continue, but the idea of having this alternate universe Bond where either they get a wild director or a wild actor to play Bond every 10 years would have been crazy. But that's why this whole Sony and MGM deal and different deals happened over the years to, you know, fortify the Bond character and rights. So now Eon are in the position of being the only people to make official James Bond films. Let me know, what do you think of this video. Thanks very much for watching. We're hitting the 30-minute mark soon, so I'm going to be winding down the channel. Um to summarize this video and this live stream, I think Kevin McClory's circus in the K Club Straffan House is very revealing of how he continued to cultivate that Sean Connery relationship long term. Maybe even when Connery was down, he never actually gave up on him. And so when it came to Never Say Never, they were open to working with each other. I think that is what is going on here at this circus. I don't think this circus is the point at which it happens, but I think it is a, a point in history that's quite revealing. Um, as I start wrapping this video up and coming to a close, I'd just like to thank everyone for watching. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat straight away before I sign off. I'd like to thank Enzo for throwing in a couple questions there. He's looking for inspiration on composing. He's back on the Bond buzz. Happy to hear that. And yeah, let's quickly start We'll wrap up this Liam Neeson poll. I think it's not getting a lot of word. Yeah, so he's not. There's not a lot of people thinking on Liam Neeson as Bond. So there you go. And poll. And no one voted. They probably could worried about getting cancelled. Turns out you can't cancel Liam Neeson though. Well, it looks like today was a quiet stream. Not many people obviously were as I know we got our few viewers that love watching the channel and stuff, and they obviously like watching the McClory video. But thanks very much for watching. I'm winding down this now. What I'm going to be talking about next week is the Brosnan era. Hopefully, there'll be way more people interested in that as well. GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day. These films are controversial to say the least. I think GoldenEye would probably be the majority favorite, but maybe I'm not exactly on that page either. We're going to have to see what everyone thinks next week. So, as I wind this down, thanks everyone for watching. If you have thoughts on the circus, don't be afraid to comment below. Let me know what you think. What do you think of the circus? What do you think of Kevin McClory? What do you think of that Connery relationship? Do you think he was just out to get vengeance, out for a paycheck, or was there a kind of great relationship that he had there that he thought, I owe him one? Let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next week.